I have Dollop tour dates to announce for the year 2024 of our Lord J-Town. We have our 10th anniversary show coming up in Los Angeles on April 27th. Guests are Karen Kilgariff and James Adomian. And then we are going to Australia, starting on May 13th in Perth, May 16th in Sydney, May 18th in Brisbane, May 20th in Canberra, May 22nd in Melbourne, and May 24th in Adelaide. You can get your tickets at dolloppodcast.com.
Top Class Actions alert. In a groundbreaking move for the payment industry, Visa and MasterCard have come together for a historic $5.6 billion settlement. Top Class Actions is connecting business owners who accepted Visa or MasterCard from January 1st, 2004 to January 25th, 2019 to their share of this $5.6 billion settlement. Claim your share today at topclassactions.com/Visa. That's topclassactions.com/Visa.
You're listening to The Dollop. This is a bi-weekly podcast. Listen, someone sent a tweet saying that bi-weekly was not right. Then we recorded 3 episodes, and the whole thing was like, well, bi-weekly's off the table. It turns out that person was fucking wrong and needs to pick up a dictionary. Bi-weekly, in Webster's and other dictionaries all over the world, agrees bi-weekly is twice a week, or it can mean every other week. So suck it. That's the reality. I'm not going to say semi-weekly. Nye, nye. Thanks for all your ideas. It's bi-weekly. I was right. Back off. Anyway, this is a bi-weekly podcast.
Gareth Reynolds, who has no idea what the topic is about.
I didn't even say the part where I read you a story.
I'm ready whenever.
God, you want to hit a dude?
I'll do one bottle.
People say this is funny?
Not Gary Gareth.
Dave, okay.
Someone or something is tickling people.
Is it for fun?
And this is not going to become the tickling podcast.
Okay.
You are Queen Fakey of Made Up Town.
All hail Queen Shit of Liesville.
A bunch of religious virgins go to mingle
And do what?
pray.
Hi, Gary.
No.
Nicely done, my friend.
Nobody?
May 11th, 1861.
Oh, boy.
You all right?
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Frederick Russell Barnum was born in Minnesota.
Okay.
A year later, from their log cabin, his parents watch as the sky turned red as a nearby town was set on fire.
So we're jumping right in.
The Lakota Wars had begun.
Okay.
You love the Lakota Wars.
Yeah.
It's one of your favorites.
I've always said the Lakotas are one of my favorite wars.
Yeah. The town was burned down. Hundreds of people are killed in the Lakota Wars.
Okay.
It's not a fun war.
On behalf of the Dollop, we're sorry to that.
Sorry, the Dakota War. Did I call it Lakota War?
Yeah.
Anyway, the Lakota.
Yeah. Well,
attacked.
the
Lakota are from Dakota.
Yeah, but that actually, the Lakota attack started the Dakota War.
It's going to be a lot of poetry. His dad was a Presbyterian minister.
Okay.
So a year later, his dad was away.
A year after the town was on fire.
Yeah, so look, if there's going to be a town burned to the ground, go ahead and leave your kids and your wife in a remote cabin.
Absolutely. How the saying goes.
His mother, Rebecca, was happened to be standing at the door, and she's brushing her hair.
So she's standing at the door brushing her hair. So mentally she's in a good spot.
And then she saw Lakota warriors coming out of the forest, getting in position. They're going to do some business.
It's time to put the brush down.
So really quickly, she knew that she wasn't going to survive if she tried to run with little 2-year-old Frederick,
Uh-huh.
Because 2-year-olds, it's hard to carry.
I'll be honest.
They're
You leave
loud.
him behind. You get out.
Yeah, you
Think
leave him
about
behind.
yourself. You can have another one.
Which she did. She grabbed him and she slipped him into a pile of freshly shucked corn.
Okay, cool.
Right in the middle, and she said, "Don't fucking move."
Did he
Fred?
know that command?
Well, she said, "Don't move, be quiet, don't make a sound." I would imagine at this age, a 2-year-old, the Indians are coming is the same thing as "Don't touch that plug."
Yeah, but still, I mean, it might just be that we're dealing with like better behaved 2-year-olds.
Yeah, it's possible. So then she ran for it, and she made it to a neighbor's house about 6 miles away, closest
Jesus.
neighbor, I guess.
What? That's not.
Look,
that's not a neighbor. Neighbors used to be 6 miles. Well, my neighbor.
I'm gonna go get some milk.
That's another town.
She spent the night there. Came back in the morning. Cabin is completely burned down.
Oh boy.
Nothing left. Just a heap of nothing. But there was Frederick sitting right in the green corn.
What?
Right where she had left him. Because the fire didn't burn the corn because it was green.
Right.
And he just stayed quiet. And the Indians were like, we got enough maize. We don't need any more maize.
Corn.
So
Get it out of here. We don't need that.
They didn't go near the corn. 7 years later, Frederick's dad was injured and he punctured a lung. And so the family moved to Los Angeles.
That's you've heard it a million times.
But that because the weather is better here for punctured lungs in case anybody ever.
Oh no, this is a great heat for a punctured lung. Mm-hmm. If you have a hole in your lung, get out here for the summers. That's because
God, there's a whole punctured lung hotel.
Oh, it's great. It's the punctured hotel.
Still, he didn't last long, and he died a couple years after they got here.
Yeah, that's.
Fred's mom went back east.
Okay.
She was like, I can't do this anymore. Fred stayed in Los Angeles.
She just put him in corn again. She's like, stay in the corn. Mama's going east.
He delivered telegrams for Western Union on horseback.
Okay.
So he would do that day and night. Like it was one of the situations where you would hop on a horse, you would ride until that horse was toast, and then you'd get to the next station, you'd hop on another horse, and you'd go. There was that kind of deal. You just keep going until you got the message to where it needed to be.
Jesus.
And you probably made like a buck
I didn't realize,
year.
I didn't realize it was so lucrative.
So he was 13 years old.
Jesus, 13.
It's a different time. It's a time when you look at your 13-year-old and go, I'm moving back east. Do you want to come with me?
No, I'll stay here and have a real job.
So at 14, he had some religious members of his family who were a little bit worried about living alone out there in Los Angeles and that he was going to go to hell. So
my relatives have the same worry, Dave.
Yeah, they should.
David.
So they summoned him. They said, come on out to live with us in Iowa. We're going to put you on the right path. He gave it a shot, was not down with the boring life in a small town. So one night, he stole a canoe and headed down the mighty Mississippi.
Well, he probably hated the corn, too.
Yeah.
He's probably like,
memories.
Corn just makes me tired.
I don't like corn. I have to sit still around it.
Yeah, shit. All right, you guys go ahead. I'm going to be in this field not making a noise.
Memories.
Okay, so now he's left Iowa and he's just headed down the Mississippi.
So he stops and he goes on foot and he makes his way to Texas. Look, it's a kid. He's 14. Didn't you do this when you were 14?
14.
He makes his way to Texas. He runs into some old frontiersmen who he starts hanging out with.
I mean, it's like...
This is what you did!
It's also like what grown men are like, come here, 14-year-old. You're in the fold.
A 14-year-old to a grown man is like another grown man back then.
It's true, but that's
like,
just
hey,
very
bro,
strange.
what's up?
How are you? You're not as young as you used to be.
An old scout took a liking to Frederick and started teaching him how to be a scout.
Be like a scout as far as like scouting land, as far as like
scouts would go out and like do stuff like make sure the territory ahead was safe.
Oh, so they kind of
they would look for certain things. Where's the water? Where's the like all that shit?
Right.
They kind of scout
like
it out.
There's sort of like a GPS back then.
Much like a GPS.
Sure.
This is their version of Waze.
Yeah. Okay. Now I see what's happening.
So that guy took Frederick out on a 6-month trip through the desert and taught him the craft of scouting.
God, that sounds like a fucking nightmare.
It's a good time. Between the old man and other frontiersmen, Fred became a great scout. Next, he taught himself to shoot.
Okay.
Got himself a pistol, practiced over and over again until he was good enough to shoot a cork into the air and then shoot it while it was still in the air.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Shoot a cork into the air and then
he'd put
that
the cork like on a fence post.
And he'd shoot it.
He'd shoot it and it would
airborne
fly up.
Cork. He'd reshoot
and
it.
Shoot it again.
So he's basically doing his own like clay pigeons.
He's basically a circus.
Okay.
The most difficult thing about being a scout was getting used to being alone. They always worked alone. The most difficult thing was dealing with hunger. Right?
They just wouldn't. They couldn't eat.
Well, you're cruise like sometimes when you're scouting, you're amongst the enemy, so you're just slithering on your belly and you can't get up and go, I'm gonna have a sandwich.
I mean, I'm sure you. Listen, I'm just saying, you put me in that time, I'm not going hungry. I'll have like pocket sandwiches and I'll figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, but your pocket Sammy goes bad after a while.
Well, how
You're
long
out there
am I
for
fucking
days?
scouting?
Days!
Wait, you're just on the ground for days looking ahead?
He's a fucking scout.
See, I'm thinking that Scout sort of is like, all right, guys, I'm going to trot up ahead 100 yards and just make sure we're all good.
No. He's out there for days.
Days. So he's, okay. All right. Still. I need a bad pocket sandwich better than no sandwich. I've always said that.
He started to see the stomach as the weakest part of the man. The stomach is the thing that would let a man down. If it wasn't for the fucking stomach,
So now...
he could stay out there forever.
So now I'm a little worried.
You should be.
Okay. Now I'm a little... Because now we have a problem. And I don't like the time for solutions.
When he actually started working as scout, protecting mining camps and guarding gold prospectors... he found eating normal food very difficult. For instance, he couldn't cook over a fire because, fire. You can't have a fire because then people see the fire.
You can have a pocket fire. I'm
Pocket
just saying,
fires?
I want you to buy my line of pocket survival gear.
We have pocket fires on sale on the Dollop.
Sorry, actually, the man who bought the first pocket fire is actually fully on fire. And his
still is on
pocket
fire.
sandwiches are ruined.
We haven't worked that out. That's
So-
a kink. That's a kink in the
Pocket
plan.
sandwich is still available, as well as pocket liquids.
He did find him ways to keep himself fed, like hammering deer jerky into a powder and making deer cake that he'd eat for a week.
I mean,
Yes?
nobody's
Did you want the chocolate or the vanilla or
Deer-
the deer cake?
deer cake.
He would pound it.
Yeah, I hear
Pound
you.
the jerky.
Yeah.
Why not just eat the jerky? He'd pound the jerky
That's what I'm
into
saying.
a powder, like a flour.
And then what, he just made a fine-
and then he'd substitute deer for flour.
But
make
he
himself
could-
a cake.
But he could, how do you make a cake without fire?
No, he would make it before he left.
But then why not have a regular fucking cake?
What? Because cake's not going out there with chocolate
He
cake.
has
isn't
other
good.
options for shit.
Chocolate cake, it
I'm
doesn't
not
keep
saying
you
cake.
alive.
I'm not saying cake, but I'm sure there's another option besides deer cake.
Yeah, I would say keep the deer jerky and not turn it into a cake.
Well, listen, if you want to meet in the middle there, I'm fine with that.
The man of one diet is hopelessly handicapped, he wrote. Man's stomach can be trained to adapt itself to many strange uses. Fred did spend time trying to strike it rich in the gold country. He didn't make much, but he made enough to send for the girl that he had met and loved in Iowa.
I didn't know there was a girl he met and loved in Iowa.
Yeah, I left that part out. I'm getting to it now.
Well, I would have liked to have known about this girl in Iowa when it was happening.
Apparently, there's a girl he met in Iowa that he loved.
Well, I'm excited to hear where this goes.
She came out and they got married.
All right.
He's like 15 or something.
Yeah, no, it's time.
They moved to Pasadena.
Oh, know it well.
And he tried to become an ordinary guy, this time by farming oranges.
Well, it's beats
Again.
deer cake.
Super not down with it. Did not enjoy the normal life. He was dreaming about Africa. He liked to read about Africa when he was young. He said it called to him. There, in what at this time was known as the Cape Colony, which later became South Africa, was a prime minister named Cecil Rhodes. And Fred was a big fan of Cecil Rhodes. And he figured Cecil probably needs a good scout.
Now, okay, so the thing about what can happen nowadays is you can find out what that guy thinks scout-wise before you make a trip. So I'm assuming that there's some version of, Atlantic Union that,
He just took his wife and kid
nope.
to Cape Colony on January 1st, 1893.
Okay, so he didn't,
He did. He got a job. He worked as a scout, and he fought for Rhodes Cape Colony.
okay.
He fought in different countries, different African countries, not just any country.
To Sweden!
He went to Sweden.
He went from the Cape Colonies to Sweden, and then finally the Czech Republic. Then Czechoslovakia, sorry.
He went to he went there and he fought in different African countries. He had a second child, a daughter, who died during a plague that swept through the city they were in during a siege when he was out fighting.
Dealing with your children dying was just a very matter-of-fact thing.
Yeah.
Then.
Although when he learned about it, he was completely devastated.
I mean, when he learned about it, how long did it take for him to learn about it?
Well, he was out on the front fighting. He was fucking killing
He's just out there eating deer cakes while the fucking
sometimes
plague's
he
sweeping
would
through the
just
goddamn town?
Sometimes he wouldn't just scout. Sometimes he'd shoot and kill. He's not just fucking laying on his tummy. He gets in the business.
So the scout business sounds like a dog shit business.
Yeah, it's not great. So then he received some critical information about the enemy. Their religious leader and commander was hiding in a cave. Fred was sent in to assassinate him. He snuck
shit.
into the cave.
Jesus, that's not fun.
And he shot the leader through the heart while thinking of his daughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
He then fled the cave before the commander's men could get him. And as he fled the area, he lit villages on fire as he went.
That's a nice way to leave.
Yep. I mean,
yeah.
vengeance is mine, I believe that's
So-
called. And I'm going to make a big show when I go.
So he bravehearted the
He
area.
bravehearted the shit out of it.
Okay. I like the visual of that.
Then he heads back to America at the age of 36.
I seriously thought you were going to say 16.
He tried to find gold again, this time in Alaska, but admitted to a friend he missed the action in Africa and hoped that if fighting started again,
They would need him.
that he wouldn't miss out on it because it's so fun. Of course it did.
Lucky him.
The new British commander asked him to return. So this was the Second Boer War.
The Boer War?
Boer. B-O-E-R.
Boer War.
Said it a bunch of different ways.
Yeah. Boer War.
Boer War. The lead scout of the Boer was known as the Black Panther.
Interesting. Doesn't sound boring.
He was described as, quote, walking, living, breathing, searing, killing, destroying torch of hate.
I mean, was that his hype man? That's pretty. That's quite the resume right there.
Now coming is the walking, living, breathing, searing, killing, destroying torture of hate, Black Panther.
And in the red corner from Los Angeles and Iowa,
Frederick.
Frederick the Corn Napper. Go get him, Corn Napper.
So the entire war, Fred and the Black Panthers spent trying to kill each other. Because they were both the lead scouts. They were both doing a lot of damage.
Right.
They were both trying to get each other.
Okay, so it is kind of like how movies would frame a war in a way.
Yeah, it is exactly like
Right.
that. Meanwhile, Fred was sent to constantly infiltrate the enemy and sabotage as much as possible. One time, he hid inside of an aardvark hole for 2 days.
You mean an aardvark's asshole?
No. The aardvark's not in it. It's not part of the aardvark. He hid inside of an aardvark's asshole.
He thinks he's like all the way in and it's just over his eyes. They can't see me in this aardvark anus. All right, I'm going to eat a deer cake and then I'll scoot over there. What?
It smells like ants.
Yeah, I tell you what, this whole area smells like anus. Everywhere I turn, it smells like shit. All right, we got to dig deep.
Another time, he floated down a river disguised as a dead cow.
How?
It's just
How?
okay.
He just got he cut open a fucking cow's stomach, got inside, and just mooed.
He got a fleshy hide, and then he cut 2 eye holes out of it so he could see, and they just floated down the river.
Amazing.
This guy's fucking awesome.
Amazing.
It was said his senses and abilities were similar to a wild predator's. He could go 2.5 days without water. He could fix a broken pasture mainstream with some buffalo bone. I don't even know what that is.
I mean, what was any of that?
He could smell water from far away, and he never drank or smoked.
He could smell water?
If you're that good, you can smell water.
No, shut up. Over here, there's water.
That's a vanilla cream.
I'll tell you, it still smells a little bit.
That's Starbucks.
Yeah. Still smells a little bit like an aardvark's asshole around here, but I think over here's water.
Frappuccino. I got to take this aardvark head off me.
You know what? And now that I'm thinking about it, is it even a disguise? Or do I just look crazy?
Look, Fred's gonna come over. Don't look at the aardvark.
Hey guys, what's going on? How we doing? Pretty low key. You think they see us? You guys should get a better disguise. You look at like a couple of sore thumbs over here.
What?
Huh?
Never mind.
Shh. They can see you, but not me.
Commanding officers said he was half jackrabbit, half wolf, and totally without fear.
Now we got some hype man stuff.
He was captured once, but managed to hide who he really was from the boar. All the boar thought Fred was a godless monster, so he argued when he was caught that God was real and started reciting poetry. So they were like, well, this can't be the guy.
Well, he's certainly fucking crazy.
That guy's a monster.
Yeah.
There's no way he can be Fred. The amazing Fred doesn't like poetry.
Fred.
During the night, he escaped. As he made his way back on a stolen horse, he was spotted by some boar and the horse was shot. It fell on him. He felt like his back was broken. Still, he continued on his mission, even though he was on foot and vomiting blood. So he still had his mission to do.
Yeah.
So even though he was captured and then his horse got shot and fell on him and broke his back and he was coughing up blood, vomiting blood,
Sure.
he still keeps going with his mission.
Sure. Well, as you should.
He went and rigged a train railway with explosives and blew it up.
Interesting.
Then he climbed into a eucalyptus tree and hid as the boar fired up into the grove. They eventually gave up and moved on.
I mean, that has corn nap written all over it.
This is a man koala.
Yeah, but this is a koala man.
Yeah.
But he also, I mean, he's very comfortable in vegetables being quiet.
You put him in anything green.
Yeah.
And you can't see him.
Yeah. I was under the snap peas the whole time. Jesus, what's that on your head for? Huh? Just extra disguise.
He was rescued by British soldiers and sent back to England to mend. There he was given the Distinguished Service Order and was asked to dine with the Queen. So he's the fucking shit.
Time to know which one's a salad fork.
Fred, being the most humble man alive, said that the medal was so unnecessary that it was almost humiliating.
Wow. Oh, man.
Hey, you need to learn how to say thank you, Fred.
Yeah, it's Kanye's opposite.
Sadly, this was to be a terrible trip. Fred's third child drowned in the Thames.
What? How?
Yeah, I don't know. Why are you letting your kids swim in the
Fuck
Thames?
you do? I mean, it's tough. That's a tough thing to. You're gonna have to label that bad parenting in some way.
Yeah, it's not good.
Drowning in the Thames.
Thames, I called it Thames, didn't I?
Thames, whatever, bro.
Again,
Hey, this is a safe place.
Again, devastated, they returned to California and their home. It was while he was in Pasadena that he seriously started thinking about an idea that had struck him in Africa.
Oh, boy.
He decided to write an article. There is in Africa a wonderfully varied range of interesting animals. Most of the desirable ones could easily be introduced to our own Southwest.
Okay. Time to get a lion in New Mexico?
The article was called Transplanting African Animals. It was published in New York's Independent magazine in 1910. Fred was now 49 years old and very well known for his achievements.
I'm excited to see the response to this thought.
He was also known for telling stories of his time in Africa, and those listening would find themselves unable to turn away.
Okay.
One woman told of sitting with a group as Fred told them of a particular African siege. At one point, he paused and casually said, "We'll kill that snake when I finish the story." No one had seen the rattlesnake that had come up behind them as he told his story.
What?
He's that good.
I mean,
He's that good.
this is like Jason Bourne
Yeah.
telling stories.
He's the firstborn.
The first cornborn.
So just
The corn identity. There it is.
Just a couple of months after the article was published, Fred found himself in front of the House Committee on Agriculture in Congress. There was a meat shortage at the time. Ranges had been destroyed by overgrazing, and the price of beef was soaring.
Okay.
As the population of the U.S. increased, the number of cows was dropping by millions of head a year.
Oh, boy.
People had begun to whisper about having to eat dogs.
Oh, boy. I mean,
Newspapers were calling it the meat question.
oh, dear. I don't like the meat answer already.
America had been kicking ass for so long, but the meat question was making people think that maybe the country wasn't as strong as they thought it was.
Amazing.
Maybe there was an end.
We've always thought from our fucking stomachs.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not a great nation.
Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we open up a sizzler?
Well, listen, we're not leaving, are we?
It's all you can eat shrimp. I don't know about the beef, but it's definitely all you can eat shrimp.
Yeah, come eat this shit. Sizzler.
Maybe the U.S. couldn't keep growing.
Did you see that Sizzler video that went around the commercial? Oh, I showed you that, right?
It's fucking amazing.
People should go watch the
like 5
Sizzler video
minutes.
from like 1990.
We'll post it. It's amazing.
It's like Sizzler's trying to like rebrand itself as really important culturally.
Yeah.
It's dynamite.
It's tremendous.
All right, anyway.
So people are thinking maybe the U.S. can't keep growing and prospering, and
Yeah,
that
because there's not enough
meat's
meat
gonna
for us
end
to
it all.
fucking eat, so we're pussies now.
It ends with meat, people yelled in
The Carl's Jr. era.
At the beginning of the committee hearing, the first day of testimony, a federal researcher said, "In studying the resources of our country for a good many years, I was led to the conclusion that we ought to have more creatures than we are raising here."
Oh, boy.
The bill being discussed was H.R. 23261. It was a bill to appropriate $250,000
I'm excited to hear for what.
to import new animals to be farmed.
What, I mean, but what are they going, like, what, gazelles?
It was known as the Hippo Bill.
Oh, my God, no. No. What? Oh, God.
The bill had been introduced by Congressman Robert Broussard of Louisiana. Broussard was a charismatic and loud
I
Democrat.
reckon we ought to get a bit of hippo.
What I am saying here, gentlemen, because there ain't no ladies in here, gentlemen, is that there's a big round animal that just fucking floats.
Imagine a big, fat, aquatic cow.
Yeah,
That's what we're dealing with.
that is what we're dealing with.
So they're going to fucking
We're going to get us some water cows.
hippos.
Broussard was a charismatic and loud Democrat who
Hippos
was...
cannot be easy to catch back in this time either.
You don't know
They're
that.
violent and
You
fast.
don't know that.
I do know
They
that.
are violent and fast. Broussard was known as Cousin Bob down in Louisiana.
Isn't everyone?
Hey, Cousin Bob.
Cousin Bob.
Hey, Cousin Bob, how you
Good to
doing?
see you, Cousin Bob.
Hey, is that
Mrs. Cousin Bob.
Hey, Cousin Bob.
Hey, look, it's little Cousin Bobby.
I'm over here with Cousin Bob.
Where's your dad, Cousin Bob?
Broussard,
Let's go down to Cousin Bob's and get a couple Cousin Bobs.
Broussard had wanted to import hippos to the U.S. to be used for meat for a while now, and someone recommended he speak to Fred. This wasn't Fred's first time trying to convince Washington that they should get on the African animal meat train.
No.
After
It's
Son-
a catchy name, the
It is.
African meat train.
African animal meat train.
Yeah.
After his son died in England, drowned, he had gone to Washington to lobby for bringing in African animals. He wanted to bring in 30 varieties of antelope, as well as other animals like giraffes, to be imported and farmed in the American Southwest. He thought the animals could be protected by the government, then set loose. Hunters would hunt the great beasts and increase the nation's meat supply. Fred had even gotten his friends to pitch in $50,000 to start the program.
Unbelievable.
He met with Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was down.
Yeah, of course Roosevelt was. Bully!
Let's get them all in here. All the goddamn animals in the fucking world.
It would save me a trip.
But then a political enemy of Roosevelt used the giraffe and antelope idea as part of an attack on the president, and it worked. And Teddy abandoned the plan. But now it was 4 years later, and Congressman Broussard was leading the charge. And he was a political genius.
Okay. I mean,
But he was not pushing the hippo because of the meat situation. He was doing it because of a flower.
I mean, what is happening? What? He did it
What do
because
you
of a
mean?
flower. What do you mean he did it because of a flower?
He did it because of a flower.
What did he do? He wanted to bring. Okay, what? Like, what are you saying?
He, the water hyacinth were brought to New Orleans in 1884 by a Japanese delegation. Hello, we like your country. Here's a pretty flower. But it was like a bomb. It was like a flower bomb.
Well, we'll get him back.
The people of New Orleans loved the flower and planted them everywhere. And then the flower began to proliferate rapidly. It reproduces asexually. The flowers began to spread in waterways, clotting and drifting around the Mississippi like a big mass. By the time the Hippo bill was introduced by Broussard, the flowers had been screwing things up in Louisiana for 10 years.
There's only one way to deal with something that has been brought in unnaturally to your environment. And that's to bring in something unnaturally to your environment.
Yeah, you double unnaturally.
Yeah, it's the double down. It's splitting aces.
Let's get some hippos in here.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing can go wrong with hippos, right?
Well, look, we obviously fucked up by planting those flowers. Let's bring in a bunch of hippos.
Hippos and giraffes. Let's get them going.
All right? Giraffes. Imagine giraffes roaming Arizona. Where are we?
Shipping lanes were no longer passable.
Okay.
The flowers were overtaking rivers and wetlands and using all of the oxygen and killing the fish.
Okay, good. So the fish are dying because this one guy planted a flower.
Fishermen were going bankrupt. The War Department was fighting the flowers, but it was an impossible battle.
Okay. Time to eat flowers.
They would clear a stream, and a month later, the flower would return.
Well, that's tough.
A veteran researcher at the Bureau of Plant Industry of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, named Irwin, testified that the hippos were a double win.
I love testifying. I mean, like I justify that this is a great idea.
Sir, the hippos are awesome in 2 ways. So the hippos could eat the flowers.
And then we could eat the hippos.
And then we could eat the hippos.
Boom, boom, boom.
It's like a food chain. It's just
Boom, boom, boom.
three things.
It's too crazy to not work.
Irwin claimed no one ate hippos because no one has ever told them that eating hippos was a proper thing to do.
Well, the same is for dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Good point. He saw the meat question as a test of America's resolve to defend our freedom and our way of life. Some generations of Americans are called to go to war. This generation is being called to import hippos and eat them.
That's a quote?
No,
Oh, God.
I just hypothesized what he would.
That would be amazing. You've heard of the greatest generation? We are the waitest generation. Let's get these goddamn hippos here. They'll eat the flowers, we'll eat the hippos.
So then next Fred testified. He said it was bizarre that we only eat cows, pigs, and sheep and poultry. Why did we stop importing animals there? With time, we could make hippo barbecue just as normal.
Oh, it sounds like the Flintstones.
Fred was very persuasive. But when he was done, Broussard had one more witness to call.
A hippo.
It was the Black Panther.
Whoa, what? What's he doing? I feel like that's like Crocodile Dundee-esque importation.
He had a real name, Captain Fritz Dukins.
Yeah, but what was his real name? I'm kidding. I'm not a Black Panther. I'm Fritz Dukins.
Fritz Dukins had been born in Cape Colony in December 1877. He grew up on a farm with other Boer families. His father was a hunter, so he was always away from home. As a kid, he'd repeatedly seen hunters return with hippos because they were the easiest animals to kill.
Okay.
They would divide the meat among the families, and then Fritz would collect the fat and sell it to soap manufacturers.
Sure.
Just like any kid does.
Sure,
Just
yeah.
classic
Just go
kid
make
stuff.
some fucking hippo soap.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's the weekend.
He was sent to military school in Europe as a teen. Fritz was good-looking, a ladies' man, and had incredible confidence in himself. He was there when his father told him to come back and fight against the British. We're talking about the Second Boer War when he went against Fred.
The Boer War.
Many Boers were put into concentration camps by the British, and soldiers like Fritz formed into small guerrilla units. He was captured twice, and both times he escaped. The second time he was captured, he was sent to Lisbon, Spain.
Okay.
He quickly escaped and took off, but not until after he had screwed the jailer's daughter.
Nice.
Right?
That's, dropping some panther dick.
Who's not rooting for the Panther at this point?
Yeah. I mean, the idea that, like, you could get one over on the warden by escaping, but then you're like, and also,
Come on, Panther, we're making a run for it. Hold on, I got one last thing to do.
you guys go without me. I'll be there in a second. I gotta go bang the warden's daughter. Panther?
Panther, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard me.
Yeah. That'll
Why do you
show.
think they call me the Panther? That has nothing to do with being a Panther.
Listen, in this time that we've been debating this, I could be inside of the warden's daughter.
He then went to England and told them he was a Boer defector, joined the British Army, got sent back to Africa to fight against the Boer, and then joined the Boer.
That's great. It's getting flown out on their dime.
He then saw the brutal devastation of the British. They were implementing a scorched earth policy. He went home only to discover his home was gone. An employee told him his uncle had been hung from a tree and stabbed repeatedly. His sister had been raped and killed, and his mother raped and taken away. Fritz assumed his mother was at a nearby concentration camp, and he headed for it. He put on his British uniform.
It's a tough update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now we find out why he's got...
Listen.
He might not like the British for the rest of the story.
Yeah, I get why.
He put on his British uniform. He entered the concentration camp and found his mother holding a 7-month-old baby.
Oh, shit.
They both were starving and dying of syphilis.
Oh, my God.
This is a good ending.
Ugh.
This is like a Charlotte's Web type story that should be read to kids.
Yeah, I would love to see what that spidered right in the web about this shit.
He told his mom he would kill 100 British soldiers for every drop of blood in her body.
That's a lot of British soldiers.
Yeah,
Can he do that math?
I don't know, but he made a promise.
Tough math.
You make a promise to your mommy.
So I'm going to need to drain you. My next point is that I have to drain you fully.
I got to get this right.
You know, it's actually what they're doing to George Washington about now.
As he rode away from the concentration camp, he passed 2 British soldiers who he saluted.
All right.
Then he shot them in the back after they had passed.
Not all right.
He dismounted and kicked them both in the face.
Well, the order is normally different on that.
But why not, right?
Why not, right?
Why not? Late in the war, the Black Panther was caught again and shipped to Bermuda with his hands and feet bound the entire way. He escaped within days and made his way to a port town called Hamilton. There he became a pimp.
All righty. Hello. What if this guy is really... He's logging the miles.
He's doing it. He's taking it all on.
He's getting a lot of jobs.
Well, what can I do here? What's here? Oh, vaginas.
Well, I'll just sell women.
All righty. He had a prostitute named Vera. He got her to use her time with clients to learn about the comings and goings of ships.
You can say "and goings" quicker in that sentence sometimes.
Goings.
He needs to learn it from her about the comings. Goings.
After learning a private yacht was going to leave for Baltimore, Fritz snuck onto the ship and hid in a hold. When the owner found him, he came to like Fritz and invited him on the journey.
I mean, that's pretty... You got to be pretty fucking charming to be a stowaway
Right?
who gets brought on as a guest.
Everyone's like, "You're funny."
You know what? I kind of like you.
I'm the Panther.
Yeah, all right. That talk could stop a little bit.
I fucked a jealous daughter.
All right, here, just have a beer. Relax a little bit. You've been in that hole for a while.
You got any British on here?
No?
So he landed on American soil in July 4th, 1902. Yeah. He made his way to New York and got a job selling papers. Then he became a reporter. And 7 years later, he ended up meeting with President Teddy Roosevelt, just as Fred had. Roosevelt was planning a big game hunting trip to Africa.
Like it's pretty easy to get into Roosevelt's White House.
It's like there's 9 people in the
If you
country.
have, if you could say one interesting thing, he's like, come over for lunch.
You just walk up and you go, "Hey, I like lions." And he's like,
Hold on.
"Get him in here.
Get your hands off of that man. Get in here, son. So you like lions, do you?
No, tell me about the lions. So Teddy's going to Africa.
He's like a 5-year-old.
And he's looking for men who had hunted in Africa to, tell him about Africa.
Right.
Of course, that's Fritz.
Yes.
Roosevelt went on his hunting trip, and it was a big story in the U.S. papers, and it was covered extensively. And Fritz took advantage of this, writing syndicated columns called Hunting Ahead of Roosevelt. He then put his stories together. So he was basically telling stories about how he had hunted there before. And then that's what Roosevelt was going to do.
Right.
Then he put his stories together into a show and took it on tour.
I mean, how is he, is he just trying to do everything?
This is that time when there's just shitty entertainment.
Yeah.
And so now he goes up and reads a story while he has a picture in the background and blah, blah, and it's just terrible.
Yeah. People are like,
and
you
life was
this
horrible,
shit?
and people were like, "Let television be invented."
It's like we're there.
So he just happened to be in Washington doing the show when Broussard was holding the committee hearing.
Wow, that's lucky.
So the Black Panther knew this was an opportunity to get people to go to his show.
Okay.
And so he told the committee some stories. He said it was easy to domesticate a hippo.
Okay.
That
You
can have
get my slippers
I
domesticate?
think like maybe you could have it in your backyard, that kind of thing.
I think I have seen a story of someone who has like a domesticated hippo.
Well, maybe the tiny
but there's one. It's on TV.
He said baby hippos can be fed from a bottle like a baby. And you can walk them around on leashes.
Sure, of course. It's real easy to get a hippo to understand leash life.
How great would the world be if we had just had people had taken to this and made hippos?
I would look.
People just walking down the street with a hippo.
Look, I am
just squirting it with a bottle.
Yeah. Oh God. In the drought, people are like the hippos have got to go.
You know what? We can't keep the hippos anymore.
Sorry, hippos. Water's for the men.
You're so selfish with your fucking hippos in your yard.
Oh, you're always with the hungry.
I get it.
My joke.
It is absolutely not dangerous, he said. He also said the meat was delicious and satisfying. Splendid food.
Splendid food.
He said the Boers had fought well during the wars because they were eating hippos.
Oh, God.
He also said they should get antelope, giraffes, and elephants. All were good eating.
He's just going for it.
His testimony was complete bullshit, and everyone bought it.
And how is this driving people to his show? Just because he can get his stories out,
Well, if he's
like, in
it just
front of
gets his
them?
name. It's just great
Sure.
press.
Sure.
Like every single one is like the Black Panther's testifying. Oh, by the way, he's doing a show downtown.
Sure. It's a little like when Charlie Sheen went apeshit and then just took a show on the road.
That's exactly what it is.
He just created so much buzz he had to do it.
So the press went nuts for the idea of hippo meat. The Chicago Tribune wrote an article about the hearing and printed it just above an article about a famous steakhouse raising their prices because of dwindling meat supplies.
Oh, God.
Almost all of the papers used quotes of Fritz. The Washington Post wrote that it was only a matter of time before hippo shipments to the U.S. began.
Hippo shipments.
Since we've learned to eat crabs
Just bringing
and
500 hippos to America and being like, that dude said it'd be cool.
You know what you could do is you could just get like 50 of them, tie them together, and then tug them behind a ship.
Yeah.
Because they just hang in the water.
They can swim too. Maybe get some guys on their backs.
So since we've learned to eat crabs and oysters, the Post reasoned, we could also eat that plump and beast, which had we could also eat that plump and large beast, which has a smile like an old-fashioned fireplace.
So they're basically, they think they're importing cartoon hippos.
You can't describe something as having a smile like an old-fashioned fireplace when you're talking people into eating it.
An animal doesn't an animal doesn't smile. A hippo doesn't smile.
Well, they look like they have a smile.
A hippo? It's not a smile.
Have you seen the Madagascar movies?
Dave, again, you're talking about cartoon hippos. They're different.
The New York Times said the idea...
Also, a lot of times, if there's more than two of them, they'll break out into a huge chorus.
They sing!
The
Times said the idea was practical and timely. The word was that hippo tasted good. The Times called the meat lake cow bacon.
I mean, that's maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It just on a number, like on so many levels. Like, they're not, like, what do you, lake cow bacon.
An agricultural department official stated that free-range hippos in Florida, Mississippi, and Louisiana could produce 1 million tons of meat a year.
Oh, I mean, we need to stop fucking caring about eating so much. It's unbelievable.
People were excited by the idea. Broussard got letters from people who volunteered to go to Africa and bring the hippos back. That's like Donald Trump. I got this. You want hippos? I'll get your goddamn hippos.
I can get you 95 hippos by Thursday. Talking ones with the smile. I can also get you a smoking hippo.
We don't need a smoking hippo.
I'm just letting you know that as far as the hippo community goes, I have many connections.
Unfortunately, Broussard would have to wait until the next congressional session to get the bill going. In the meantime, he invited the old enemies, Fred and Fritz, down to Louisiana to discuss plans for hippo importing.
No, you mean lake cow bacon.
Though the two men had tried to kill each other for years, it turns out they had a great respect for each other. They finally got to know each other.
Oh, God.
Fred thought the Hippo Project would cleanse Fritz of his past wrongs and set him on the right path. He wrote, I set out to win over the genuine Americanism, one of the most remarkable men I had ever met. Together, the three men began planning the New Food Supply Society.
It's just, I mean,
And the NFSS.
yeah, the NFSS, and we all know how that worked.
They sent letters back and forth discussing how to go about it, but Fritz was the man doing most of the work. After the hearing, he was sent to Louisiana on a fact-finding mission. Fritz hoped this Hippo venture would turn into a full-time job. But more than anything, he wanted credit for the idea of hippo meat. But time was going by and nothing was happening. Fritz was getting frustrated.
Uh-oh.
In October,
Fritz traded.
New York World came out with an article giving credit of the hippo idea importation to a man named Frederick Holder. Holder was a fisherman. Fritz was pissed. He sent copies of the article to Fred and Broussard and demanded they send a correction to the press. Fritz was now completely losing it. Above all, he wanted credit. Everything else was secondary. I'm the fucking hippo guy! I'm Hippo Fritz! That's why they call me Hippo Fritz!
Fritz, buddy, nobody's been calling you that, okay?
Yeah, that's what they call me, Hippo Fritz!
Okay, all right, but I'm just...
Hey, what's my name, guy over there?
Hey, Fritz.
It's Hippo Fritz!
Well, that's what I'm saying, okay? It sounds a lot like Hippo
What's on my
Fritz.
t-shirt?
Well, you hand wrote Hippo Fritz on your shirt, but this is like an intervention moment.
Because it's my nickname. Because this is my idea.
All right. Maybe just sleep a little. Maybe just take a nap. Lay down.
I can't sleep.
Oh, boy.
Not until the hippos are here.
All right, bro.
No sleep till Hippo!
Oh, God. That's what it says on the back. Hippo Fritz, and then he turns around and points both thumbs to it. No sleep till Hippo!
Things seemed to be cooling off on the hippo front, but Fritz wasn't going to let it go. In 1911, he began to consider starting his own hippo importing business.
Oh, my God.
He organized banquets in New York and Washington, hoping to stir up investment. There he served springbok soup. I've had springbok. It's not bad. And
Well, no, we
hippo
didn't-
croquettes. I was in South Africa. They had springbok. It's
Well,
pretty
I've
good.
always loved a hippo croquette.
He looked into the idea of bringing elephants to South America and selling them.
I mean, now it's like desperate. It's
now
like he was
now
like...
it's just like, I'm going to send animals all over the fucking world.
He was like, I want to be the biggest cocaine dealer in America. And now he's like, I want to just maybe sell a bag of Molly in Spain.
He also almost pulled off an insane publicity stunt for a matchstick company.
I mean,
He was going to bring llamas from Peru and drive them as a herd from New York to Ohio.
wait. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What?
sorry. Wait.
What?
Tell me.
He
Tell
was
me-
going to a matchstick company wanted a publicity
okay, let me
campaign.
stop you there.
Yep.
How does this help a match? Is this just sort of like
Line them up with llamas, I guess.
like branded entertainment? They're just like, we're just sponsoring the crazy shit.
Yeah, it's just like, well, this is going to get attention, and then people will know about it. So he's going to drive it straight to the matchstick plant.
Okay, so he's taking the llamas from Peru.
Bringing them to New York City.
To New York.
Where they stay a couple days in a hotel to acclimate.
There is,
and then
like, how many would actually make this journey?
I can't. They didn't say.
Few. I would
it's
assume 30
very
or 40.
far. Well,
It's
if it's a
very
herd,
far.
If it's a herd, it's a lot of llamas.
And it's very far.
right, but it's Fritz.
It's very far.
It didn't come to be.
Why?
I don't know.
What part?
Then word came that Teddy Roosevelt was planning another hunting trip. This time,
shocker.
in the Amazon.
Oh, God.
Fritz saw another opportunity and sought investors to help him produce a movie. The plan was to go to Amazon and film what Roosevelt would see when he got there. He would then show the film on stage and narrate it. He ended up getting funding from a film company and the Goodyear Tire Company.
Good.
The Goodyear Tire Company was paying him to look for rubber while he was in the Amazon.
Did they know that they were getting swindled by him?
I don't know. It's just such...
While you're there, will you promise to look for rubber?
Yeah, I'll look for rubber. Can I have some money?
Yeah, I'll give you money, but you swear to God, is there rubber there?
Okay, so I found some rubbers.
You did. Where?
Well, they were used. But,
No.
There's rubbers all in the slums. There's a lot of rubbers.
Fritz, I speak on behalf of Goodyear.
Here's the bag.
We hate your guts, and get the bag and take it with you. And by the way, what the fuck does the back of your shirt mean? No sleep till Hippo?
That's right. No sleep till Hippo. We're
Get
gonna
out.
get hippos
Get
here.
out. Get the fuck out. Now.
But right after he left for the Amazon, World War I broke out. Fritz was not happy that the U.S. was staying on the sidelines. He wanted the U.S. to join with Germany and fight against England.
He could have his own Fox News show.
It's the Fritz Hour with Fritz. It's supposed to be called the Fritz Hippo Hour.
Cut. Fritz, you've been warned. You will not say Hippo on the air anymore.
You got it.
Action.
Hippo to all my friends.
Cut.
He still had a seething hatred for the British after the Boer Wars, because they killed his family and whatnot.
Yeah.
In Brazil, Fritz went to the German consulate and offered to be a spy and saboteur. From that day on...
Wasn't he just making a movie?
Well, now it's off because World War I started.
He's insane.
From that day on, he lived a life of aliases. He was known as Frederick Baron, Colonel Bezin, F. Krabs, Colonel Marquis de Kentz, Fred Backens, J.K. Farn, Behold Zombo, Von Gotthard, Vam Dam, Fritters, Worthy,
Dave.
and Jim.
Dave.
Yes.
I gotta have it one more time because here's what just happened. I was like, in my head, I was like, well, you're not gonna get one funnier than F. Krabs. And I thought at the end of that run, I'd just mention F. Krabs. But then you hit like 2 or 3 at the end that are just record breakers.
Frederick Barron.
Fritters. I'm excited to hear you say fritters again.
Colin Bezin. F. Krabs.
Fuck crabs.
Colonel Marquis de Kentz. Fred Beckens. Jake Q. Farn.
J.Q. Forn.
Behold Zombo.
Wait. Okay. That sounds like what you would hear in like a freak show.
Hey,
Behold, Zombo.
Hey, what's your name again? Behold Zombo.
Okay, ducky.
Von Gotthard.
Von Gotthard. Really?
Yeah, it's a little close.
It's close.
Vam Dam. That one was clearly on the spur of the moment. What's your name? Vam Dam.
Yeah, bam dam.
Fritters.
Just fritters. Did he just like wear like a beanie and no shirt and just a tie and walk around town? People are like, oh, don't mind him. He's just fritters.
He had to have been a butler.
Yeah, he definitely had a unicycle.
Worthy.
What?
Just Worthy. And Jim.
I gotta say, I'm excited to do some stuff with fritters in the future.
He spent time on the docks in South America in disguise.
Who did, fritters?
Or Jim.
Or F. Krabs. F. Krabs.
Wearing thick glasses and hunched over. His name was Frederick.
What? Wow. So...
He's not even trying.
Yeah, that just seems like a typo.
He's like an SCTV character.
Hello, I'm Frederick.
He would hang out in bars and offer English sailors money to bring rare orchid bulbs back to England for his friends. But these weren't bulbs. The packages were explosives. Fritz claims to have sunk 22 ships and started 100 dock fires.
Wow.
But according to Fred, what Fritz was really up to was disrupting shipments of manganese.
I think he was up to building an army of the greatest names of all time.
So, Fred knew about manganese. Fred had also been pushing the hippo meat idea after the congressional hearing. In March 1911, he went to Washington and met with Broussard again. Broussard would reintroduce the bill in the spring, but in the meantime, Fred was to go on an exploratory trip to Africa to scout other species that would be good for importation and eating.
But nobody said yes to any of their shit yet. The scouting time is over. It's time to shoot.
The American public was becoming less enthusiastic about the idea of bringing hippos to America and putting them in rivers. The hippo meat idea was waning. During this time, Fred had also started working for companies who had copper mines in Mexico. He never made it to Africa because the Mexican Revolution broke out and he went down to Mexico to watch over the company's investments. And at one point, he was commanding a group of 500 armed men. He still hadn't given up on the idea of hippos, though. He continued to work on the plan. He found a German circus master who agreed to ship the hippos. Whoa. At the same time, Broussard kept pushing the bill from one congressional session to the next until it was 1918, and then Broussard died. Eventually, the Department of Agriculture weighed in and said importing hippos was a terrible idea.
That's interesting.
Instead, the department recommended turning useless marshes in Louisiana into grassy pastures for cows.
Yeah, that's
because
smart.
People like to eat cows.
And cows are here.
Don't want to eat hippos.
And cows are here.
Honey, I have been barbecuing this hippo for 9 days, and it's still not ready.
Turn
it over!
A lot of this meat's going bad. It's very chewy.
It's black on the outside.
And it does. I'll tell you what it doesn't taste like is lake cow bacon.
It does not taste like lake cow bacon at all.
Okay? It tastes like toilet chicken.
So this is how America overcame the meat question. They developed ways to raise more animals in more places. When World War I broke out, Fritz also wanted the U.S. to get into the action. I'm sorry, Fred also wanted the U.S. to get into the action, just like Fritz did.
Sure.
But he wanted the U.S. to fight against Germany.
Interesting.
He became part of the preparedness movement. They believed the U.S. entry into the war was inevitable and were putting pressure on President Wilson to enter the war. In 1916, Fred was the Grand Marshal of a preparedness parade in San Francisco when a suitcase bomb went off. 10 people were killed.
Jesus.
Teddy Roosevelt was putting together a group of men to go into battle on his own if Wilson did not enter the war.
Wow, what?
I'm going to read that again. Teddy Roosevelt was putting together a group of men to go into battle on his own if Wilson didn't enter the war.
What a dick.
Greatest president ever. Out of his fucking mind. Just wanting to kill stuff everywhere. Didn't matter where. If you're not going to war, Teddy's going to war.
I started my own army. Teddy,
you're not president anymore.
doesn't matter. You don't need to be president to make an army, bully.
Let's go, boys! Mount your hippos!
With just spears on the backs of hippos, like monkeys on dogs. Just ready to go. They just strap him on there. All right, your legs are taped. You're secure.
I guess we're going into the water. Fred joined Teddy's group.
We're really going low.
Fred joined Teddy's group. He was 55 years old, and he always wanted to see battle.
Sure.
But the chance to actually fight instead of being a scout had never come, and now he thought it could happen.
Sure. It's exciting.
But unfortunately, his services were needed elsewhere. Manganese was in short supply, partially due to Fritz down there blowing up ships.
Jesus.
Manganese is a mineral that is used to make steel. The war caused shipments to be cut off from the usual suppliers, so new sources were needed. The U.S. looked to South America, but also hoped to find its supply in the U.S. Fred got a few prospectors together he knew from his 20s, and they went out into the desert to look for manganese. The scout is back, baby.
There's a simple solution on how to deal with that. Import hippos.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that'll solve it. No problem.
It was a successful operation. They found manganese in several different locations.
Okay.
Now, years later, Fred and Fritz were once again on the opposite sides of a war, thwarting each other. In February 1916, Fritz packed the film from his film project that he had bailed on into a trunk and put it aboard the SS Tennyson. Whatever was in that box exploded as the ship was in the ocean. 3 sailors died. A co-conspirator was caught, and he quickly gave up Fritz. Fritz was now wanted.
And why is he doing? But he's just doing that because he is so upset about us.
He hates the British.
Oh, okay.
So the British are fighting the Germans. So
that's
joined
by
up with
proxy.
the
He's
Germans.
He's doing his own.
Yeah, he's a Boer.
He's fighting his own war. Another Boer War.
Fritz was now wanted for murder by the British. In 1917, Fritz found his way to Washington, D.C., but of course they're looking for Fritz when the guy's name is Fritters.
You ain't gonna find Fritters.
You talking about Fritters crab cakes?
Fritters crab cakes. The guy rides the unicycle and plays the harmonica. Fritters crab cakes.
Where's a hippo head?
Where's the hippo head? Rides a unicycle, sells crab cakes.
Just yells no stop till hippo. That guy.
Serious drug problem.
So in 1917, Fritz went back to Washington, D.C., and instead of using one of his many aliases, he used his own name.
That was a really dumb move. He had 900 names.
He was looking for work and reached out to...
Frederick would have been better.
He was looking for work and reached out to Broussard, who had no idea what Fritz had been up to. Broussard tried to get him a low-level clerk job, but it didn't pan out. With no luck in Washington, he headed to New York and crashed at a friend's house. He then tried to get his "let's eat African animals" thing going again. He wanted to go on a speaking tour, but no one cared.
Yeah, stop.
There was a war on, and people just wanted to hear about war heroes. So Fritz became Captain Claude Stoughton, an impressive soldier who had perhaps seen more of the war than any man at present before the public. This poor fake guy had been stabbed 3 times during his fake fighting, gassed 4 times, and struck once with a hook.
That's quite a fake resume.
The fake son of a bitch show was a hit. He was a hit on the speech circuit. He started getting invited to important parties. He would show up in uniform and give speeches asking people to donate to the Red Cross and buy Liberty bonds. The dude who had been a terrorist just a couple years before, trying to stop Allied forces, was now raising money for the Allied forces.
Yes, as a war hero.
In the end, all Fritz cared about was Fritz being famous. On December 8th, 1917, Fritz was arrested for insurance fraud in New York City. He had filed a claim for the film that was lost on the Tennyson.
Oh, boy.
The film that
That's balls. That's
filled
fucking-
with explosives and blown a ship up.
Pretty ballsy.
That's like the guy, when the Oklahoma City guy blew up the
McVeigh?
the building.
Yeah.
No, the other guy.
Oh, right. The other dude.
Oh no, the first guy who tried to blow up the World Trade Center when it didn't go down. So the first guy tried to blow up the World Trade Center. They blew it up, and then he went back and said the van he had rented was in an accident in the World Trade Center and tried to get the money back, but it was the van he had used to blow up the World Trade Center.
Jesus, dude. How do you get that petty over terrorist
So
shit? You're like,
stupid.
oh, so I need that deposit.
I gotta get that $80 back.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I had a full tank, just so you guys know. So like, none of that bullshit. You know what I mean? I know you guys charge an extreme amount.
So he filed this claim. He apparently tried another insurance scheme as well. He had agreed to make movies for an Argentine Board of Education. They paid him $24,000 for film, which he bought, and then he put it in a Brooklyn warehouse, and then he blew up the warehouse.
What is with the film part of this plan of his?
I just think he thinks film was very expensive.
It's just like his calling card.
and so he knows he can get money for film.
But then every time he gets, it's.
But he would still need to make the fucking movie.
Exactly.
Now the British wanted him for murder. So Fritz started acting crazy.
Oh, he started to act crazy?
So he's arrested. The judge had a lunacy commission assess him to see if he was really nuts. That's what it was called, lunacy commission.
That's going to be a great... I would love to just have footage of some of the Lunacy Council.
It's my favorite Donald Duck cartoon.
The Lunacy Council.
Lunacy Commission.
The Lunacy Commission.
The Lunacy Commission sent him to a mental hospital.
We're here to find out if you're ape shit. So we're going to ask you some questions and show you some things and see how crazy your shit is.
Okay, here's the first question.
Yes.
So he sent him to a mental hospital.
They just pour a glass of milk and put it before him and then pour it down their pants. And they're like, how does that make you feel at home?
Very good.
I think you might be a lunatic.
Right, so he sent to a mental hospital. He was there with a man who constantly
Not a
whistled.
sentimental hospital. He was sent to a mental hospital.
Correct.
Right, okay.
He was there with a man who was constantly whistling because he said he was a train.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And another guy who thought he was Napoleon's tomb.
Wow, those are some roomies.
That is
That's when you're
not
like...
Napoleon, the tomb.
So wait, you're Napoleon? I'm not an idiot. I know I'm not Napoleon. I'm where he's buried. Oh, I'm sorry. That's 12:45. That's mine. I got to get on that. That's my train. I got to get out of here.
You got room for a tomb on there? Where are we going? No, stop till Hippo. I'm getting on too.
I'm quitting the hospital.
Fritz's wife showed up and divorced him. She
Wow.
said it was obvious he had gone German.
You've gone German.
Fritz then collapsed in court, saying he was paralyzed from the waist down.
I can't do it. I can't. I lost the use of my legs just now.
Strangely rat in court. Who
I
knew?
can't walk anymore.
When doctors jabbed him with pins, he did not react.
Let me know when you guys are starting. Oh, you have? Well, I can't feel it. My story checks out.
He was sent to Bellevue Hospital, where he slowly got skinnier and skinnier. He would just sit all day and watch the birds from a window. Then one day,
Should be hippos.
he escaped.
Okay.
Turns out he had gotten his hands on a hacksaw, and he wasn't watching birds at the window, but he was sawing the bars.
That's different.
He had faked being paralyzed for 7 months. But now the Black Panther was on the loose.
Who bought the leg shit?
I don't know. He took off to Mexico and Europe, but then, of course, he made his way back to New York, where he
Why?
was
What is he
famous
doing?
because he can be famous there.
No, fritters, no.
He appeared for a short time as a vaudeville critic named Major Fred Craven, but then vanished again. The FBI continued to search for him, mainly in Manhattan.
But they were also like, maybe we don't want to catch this guy. He directs some great shows when he's not blowing up ships.
Finally, he was arrested again. Fritz was charged with homicide and escape, but the statute of limitations had expired on the war crimes charge, so Britain passed on extradition.
Wow.
The judge then dropped the escape charge, and he was free again.
What?
Yeah.
This dude is...
In the spring of 1934, Fritz became an intelligence officer for the Order of 76, an American pro-Nazi organization.
Oh, gosh.
The FBI watched him closely. Fritz knew he was being watched and at one point stopped an FBI agent tailing him and said, "Stop following me." On June 28th,
Some good
1941,
detective work.
on June 28th, 1941, the FBI set up a sting with a double agent. The FBI was in one room while the double agent was in another. Fritz entered and immediately began searching the room, asking, "Where are the mics? Where are the mics?" When he thought he was safe, he pulled up his pants leg and pulled out files. There was a sketch and photo of the M1 Garand semi-automatic rifle, a drawing of a new light tank design, a photo of a U.S. Navy Mosquito boat, a photo of a grenade launcher, and reports on U.S. tanks he had observed at bases around the country. He was arrested. Then 33 spies in Fritz's group were arrested. He was charged with sending information to the Third Reich and plotting to start fires in American factories.
Jesus.
The evidence was damning. The Black Panther had stamped each letter
No.
with a black attacking cat.
God.
You know what I gotta get on these secret espionage
You
files?
spend-
My own stamp,
You
like my
spend
own
so
thing.
much time coming up with fake names.
I also, you know what? I asked for the stamp of the cat, but underneath I wanted from Fritz, and up top I wanted no stop till Hippo.
But that was a lot of money, so
I just got the cat.
I just got the cat for now.
The case ended up being the largest espionage case in U.S. history. Fritz Dukens was sentenced to 20 years in Leavenworth Prison. Fred did not enjoy hearing about the end of his old nemesis.
Okay.
His doom fills me with sadness, he said. Fred Burnham remained in California and was wealthy at this point. He and his son had struck oil on some land they owned. Fred was also a lifelong member of the National Council of Boy Scouts of America. The Boy Scouts are actually modeled after Fred.
Really?
The neckerchiefs...
Aside from the molestation scandals.
Right. He did not do that, allegedly.
Right.
The handkerchiefs they wore are based on the one Fred always wore in the desert to keep his neck from being sunburned.
Uh-huh.
At Fred's request, the Boy Scouts created merit badges so they would be able to master many skills.
Deer cake, the lowest selling badge.
Did you get that hippo badge?
No, Fred, please.
It's a picture of a hippo.
Yeah, but
in front of an American school eating grass.
Right. Yep. No, I'm not getting that one. It's hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's no hippos here. Because that
Get him here. That's what I've been talking about.
Alrighty, this took a turn.
Fred still kept a picture of Fritz on his wall, framed in his military uniform. In his desk, he still had a letter from the Black Panther. Quote, "To my friendly enemy, the greatest scout in the world.
Wow.
Whose eyes were the vision of empire. I crave the honor of killing him, but failing that, I extend my heartiest admiration."
Wow, what? That's a great rivalry.
Fred died on September 1st, 1947 in Santa Barbara, California. He was 86 years old. Fred Dukens was released in 1954 due to failing health after serving 14 years in prison. He died May 1956 in a state hospital in New York City.
And we've all been eating Hippo since.
Ever since.
Jesus Christ.
That's why Wendy's has the Hippo burger.
Oh, God. What we would be doing at fast food places right now?
Can I get just get an ear?
Can I get some curly hips? I'll also take
Hip burger?
Can I get a Hippo biscuit? And then I'll take some regular fries and a hippo pie.
Yeah, a shake.
Thank you.
Vanilla.
And also some giraffe sticks. Thank you. What we would have done to that hippo. It's almost, that's actually the most excited I've been about this hippo prospect. Is the
what
idea
we
that
would
if
do with
it
it?
was here now, what would it be?
So hippo crisps.
Hippo crisps. Like, it would just be
Hippo.
the
You stop at the
grossest.
grocery store, get some hippo jerky.
Oh, God.
Step into a Slim Hip.
Slim Hip. Deep fried hip flakes. Do you want some hip chips?
Oh man, the song "No Stop Till Hippo" is a huge hit.
No, stop till hippo.
No,
Stop till hippo. Wow. Jesus.
Well, there you go.
Just how is there still so much insane shit?
I don't know. We're a fucking insane country.
Are we ever gonna run out?
I don't think so.
Do you really not?
I have a massive, massive list. It's insane how long my list is. And it's not like this in Australia at all. Australia is so much more normal.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, there's some stories, but Jesus Christ, is nothing
Well, look at
compared
us
to
now.
America.
Look at what our debates are. They're dynamite. Dynamite.
And if we ever run out, then we'll just move over to Scotland.
Yeah. Where they'll have hippo. Alrighty.
So, by the way, if you are in Edinburgh, there's some really funny comedians there. I highly recommend Ben Russell's show, The Tokyo Hotel. Go see Nick Cody. Go see Ronnie Chang. Those guys are really, really, really fucking funny. I can't recommend them enough. Like I said, I'll be headlining here at the Improv the 15th. Gareth will be on the show. Dwayne Perkins, Morgan Murphy, and others. And then go to DaveAnthonyComedy.com. There you'll find all the links to buy tickets to the shows in Australia. You should hurry up. They're selling pretty good. Get on that shit. Come
Let's
on.
go.
Adelaide, girl, what you doing?
Adelaide, it could be so nice.
Oh, yes, it's Gareth. Not Gary, stop it. Gare Force, listen, I've got a bunch of stand-up shows coming up, and I want to see you there. We can hug. I will be at Rooster Teeth Feathers in Sunnyvale, California, April 18th, 19th, and 20th. Then I will be in Chattanooga, Tennessee, June 18th. I will be at Nashville at Zanies, June 19th. I will be in Huntsville, Alabama, June 20th. I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, June 21st, June 22nd. Then I will be in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, June 26th. Then I'll be in East Providence, Rhode Island, June 27th. Then I'll be in Boston, Massachusetts, and Boston, June 28th. That's 2 shows. I will be in Springfield, Massachusetts, June 29th, Rochester, New York, June 30th, and then July 5th through the 6th. Canada, I've heard your prayers, and I will answer them. I will be in Toronto. So come join me at the Comedy Bar. Go to GarethReynolds.com for tickets and information. That's right, Gareth Force. We're calling you up. It's the big time. The big leagues. This went poorly.
Looking for an epic summer adventure? You'll find it in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Experience the thrill of over 35 miles of mountain biking trails. Then discover Cheyenne's vibrant craft beer scene with 5 breweries and 2 distilleries. Live music, boutique shopping, it's all in Cheyenne. Cheyenne is fun for the whole family. Camp under the starlit sky or stay at one of Cheyenne's grand hotels and Airbnbs. Visit Cheyenne. Head to Cheyenne.org now. Cheyenne, Wyoming. Our skies are this big.